You ready, sir? Great. 1, 2, and 3. Hi, welcome to the National Critics' Choice Online News. I'm Ravi Stienberg, and welcome to my show again. Today we have a very new author who has just launched his second book, none other than Mr. M. Ravi, and known as the Kampong Boy. And this book is now available in all good, leading bookstores in Asia, and as well as popping soon on Amazon. This book is actually based on his true story and biography of his life, and as well as his fight on human rights here in Singapore. Mr. M. Ravi, thank you for joining me here. Tell us, what inspired you to write this wonderful book? Actually, it's the second book right now.
Well, taking up human rights causes in Singapore, it hasn't been easy, and in the process of my public profile, in the course of fighting these cases in Singapore, there have been some misconceptions and distortions in that public profile, and the way media play up and the way the state apparatus play up these cases in the media. So I decided to tell the real story as thoroughly as possible so that I can clarify certain matters and perhaps correct some distortions.
Now, do you think that Singapore will soon see a day where death penalty will be abolished, as well as the issue of LGBT? How soon will you see the day that it will be liberalized?
Well, we have to see that Singapore take a very slow adjustments to these international changes that are taking place. At least Singapore has revised the position of mandatory death sentence. Previously, the judges were not given discretion. Now the judges are given some discretion in terms of sentencing. Previously, they were not given any discretion at all, so there is mandatory death sentence. And whether the death penalty will be abolished finally, it will be abolished finally, because there is a momentum amongst the nations, global nations, towards this momentum, towards final abolition of the death penalty. It will take some years, but at least there is a positive step towards that direction in the way the law has now been adjusted to adopting the discretionary sentencing.
So, will gay marriage also be accepted as well in Singapore?
Well, as I said, this is also a huge. This question itself is something that most Singaporeans would be able to digest, given the fact that currently we even have not abolished the criminalization of gay sex. It's before the courts right now. The courts in the High Court, at least, they have the High Court judgment had stated quite clearly that they have left it to Parliament. So the decision has been towards non-abolition of gay sex law. So we have to wait for the Court of Appeal to see how the Court of Appeal might overrule this decision. So then we can talk about gay marriage or the other developments along the way, but this will take a long time.
Many of my viewers are wondering, what made you decide to be a lawyer? Why do you think that being a lawyer was your destiny and is still today?
Well, from young, I have just wanted to speak up against injustices, and I do believe that love and compassion must deploy every resources to fight against injustice. Law is one such tool to fight against that injustice.
And what is your biggest challenge being a lawyer? Because is your challenge being a lawyer going on pro bono cases, or is the case itself?
Well, it's both sides. When you take up a lot of constitutional challenges in Singapore, unlike America and other places, even Hong Kong, or say, for example, even Malaysia or Taiwan, in Singapore, I don't get any financial support. So many cases, many of these constitutional cases, whether it's by-elections or whether it's mandatory death sentence, I have to do it pro bono. It takes up a lot of my time, huge amount of resources on me as well as my law firm. And but the inspiring thing from there is that there have been some momentum, developments in the jurisprudence in the court. And so there have been some developments. So when you see this, that there are some results, at least I get gratified internally. But it's again difficult here because you're fighting against a whole battle, fighting against prejudices, fighting against stereotypes, and also fears. And again, you have, I don't have much support from the legal community in the kind of work that I do, unlike our Malaysian legal practitioners, where there is a solidarity in terms of human rights work. It's a kind of a lonely struggle here, but increasingly there have been lawyers who seem to be interested in this arena, and that's encouraging.
How can our viewers help you in your fight in human rights here in Singapore and Southeast Asia? Can they provide financial support, moral support, or do you have a Facebook or some sort of website that you have that available?
Yes, I have a Facebook called Ravi Human Rights Network, and of course you can give me financial support, you can give me moral support, all will be appreciated. It's important that Southeast Asia, and in particular Asia, there is this growing momentum on the discourse of human rights, and Singapore is an international city with a lot of impact on the way the Asian governments look at the discourse on human rights, because Singapore is an economic success. However, the kind of work that I do, it does not, it has to make sense to the kind of discourse that's taking place in Singapore itself, so that we convince the audience here that human rights is an important work, it's an important part of our lives, and we need institutional safeguards just like what we have in the West. So that will also be a positive influence for the region, which are looking towards Singapore as an example.
Now, how important is this book now that's been published and made available to all people across the world, especially young lawyers and aspiring lawyers? What advice can they take from you if they were to pursue in this path? And one other question that is, if you have failed as a lawyer, do you have a plan B?
I don't think that I will say that if I failed as a lawyer. First of all, I think as a human being, I don't think I failed, because I've never had this difficulty in expressing the abundance of love that is in us, and we are spiritual beings, and that spirit in us is always alive. So law is one career which we can use positively to inspire the world, because we have a lot of institutional legal relations between human beings, and this institutional basically the institutions govern our relationships, and law becomes an important part of advancing human relations, so to speak. So if we can come together, whichever part of the world we are, I'm sure we can get connected and make this world a better place, whether as a lawyer or not a lawyer. But I've made this choice, and it's a big struggle, but it is an important work, which I don't want it to be left not done.
And what's next for you right now after this? Are you writing a third book?
No, it's really a struggle to write books, because it has taken 2 years to write this book. And of course, I got some editorial support in the way the book, there's so much of stuff about my personal life that I've thrown into the public, and I needed guidance. So I got all the guidance to write this book. So it has been a great challenge. I did enjoy writing this book. I had a lot of painful moments, especially having to go through my difficult childhood and seeing them through. And I'm so glad that I've gone through this journey, I've gone through this process, I've gone through this roller coaster ride, and I'm able to see this with fresh eyes.
Yes, and once again, thank you for joining us. But before we let you go, what was the one thing that when you first graduated from your law practice from the university, what was the one thing that you've learned from your professor who probably had given you an advice? And after all these hardships that you've been through, from childhood to adulthood, what was the one thing that you would like to impart to the young viewers abroad?
Well, just be candid in what you feel within yourself, and the whole world out there. There are many people who have the similar aspirations. Seek them now that you have Facebook, you have Twitters, and you will get the support. And to me, I went through a difficult childhood, and an inspiring figure in my life had been my mother. And of course, Mother's Day is just around the corner, so happy Mother's Day to everyone. And to all the mothers out there, this book is a gift because it's my mom's difficult life that she had gone through. She was a construction worker, she was a cleaner, and she had gone through a very abusive she had a abusive husband, but despite all that, she gave me all the love, and that I take to my heart in doing whatever work I do, and that is strengthening. At the end of the day, it's all about love.
And speak about love. How do you overcome fear?
Well, how do we overcome fear? To me, I feel that fear is evil, fear is unrighteousness, fear is sin. Everything around this world that revolves around fear, and I think that it's important that we drive that evil spirit of fear out of this world.
Well said. Once again, folks, thank you for joining me here at the National Critics' Choice with Mr. M. Ravi, one of Singapore's and Southeast Asia's well-known lawyer on human rights. And once again, please do get hold of his book in all good bookstores and even on Amazon. Once again, I'm Ravi Stienberg. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I hope I made sense.
No, it's okay.